All right, let's talk algebra. Most lines, they play by the rules. They've got an X, they've got a Y, they slant across the graph, nice and predictable. But today we are diving into the rebels of the coordinate plane, the special lines that look like they're breaking all the rules. So you've probably seen these, right? You get an equation like y equals -3, or maybe x equals 4, and you stare at it for a second and think, wait a minute, where's the other variable? Is this a typo? Nope, not a typo. It's just a totally different kind of line. And these are the guys we're talking about, horizontal and vertical lines. Now, they might seem kind of weird, but they are the absolute foundation for so much in math, and as we're going to see, even in the digital worlds we all love to play in. So, let's get into it. See, unlike your typical slanty line, these guys are specialists. A horizontal line is perfectly flat, like the horizon. And a vertical line? It's perfectly straight up and down, like a wall. They don't mess around, they don't compromise. They just pick one direction, and that's it. Okay, but trying to remember all the rules, it's a total headache. Like, which one has a zero slope? Which one is supposed to be x equals? It gets confusing fast. But don't you worry, I am about to give you a secret weapon, a really simple, super powerful tool that makes all of this incredibly easy. Here it is. Go ahead and say it with me. Hoi vux. I know, it looks like complete and utter nonsense. But trust me on this one, this is the key that unlocks everything. This silly little word is the one thing you need to burn into your brain to master these lines forever. All right, let's crack this thing open, starting with the first half, hoi. The H stands for horizontal lines, easy enough. The O tells us they have a zero slope. And that Y? That tells us their equation is always y equals some number. See? Horizontal, zero slope, y equals. Hoi, it's that simple. And now for the other side of our secret weapon, VUX. You can probably guess what's coming. The V is for vertical lines. The U tells us they have an undefined slope. And the X tells us their equation is always x equals some number. Vertical, undefined slope, x equals VUX. And that's it. That's the whole cheat code right there. So theory is great and all, but let's see how this nonsense word actually performs out in the wild. We're going to apply it to a few classic algebra problems, the kind you'd see straight from a study guide. All right, first up, picture this. You're on a test, you're a little stressed, and you see this question. Graph y equals -3. For a split second, your brain might freeze up, but then you remember the secret weapon. Let's see how it works. Step 1, the equation has a y in it. Right away, your brain should be shouting hoi. Step 2, the h in hoi tells you it has to be a horizontal line. And finally, step 3, you just go down to -3 on the y-axis and draw a perfectly flat horizontal line right through it. Boom, done. No plotting a bunch of points, no calculating slopes, just hoi. Okay, ready for another one? This time, we've got graph x equals 4. It's the same deal, just a different variable. What does our handy little tool tell us to do here? All right, here's the breakdown. Step 1, we see that x, so we're thinking vux. Step 2, the v in vux tells us, plain and simple, this is a vertical line. So for step 3, we just find 4 on the x-axis and draw a line straight up and down. Vux makes it just that simple. All right, let's switch it up. This one's a little trickier. They don't give you the equation. They want you to write it. The problem is, write the equation of the horizontal line going through the point 2, 5. Again, we just use our tool. Step 1, the second you see the word horizontal, that's your clue. That means HOY. And the y in HOY tells us the equation absolutely must start with y equals. Okay, so for step 2, we just look at our point 2, 5. Well, since our equation needs a y value, we grab the 5. And there's our equation, y equals 5. And notice something really important here. That x-coordinate, the 2, it's completely irrelevant. It doesn't matter at all. Why? Because a horizontal line like y equals 5 exists at that exact same height forever. It's at a height of 5 everywhere, for every single x value you can imagine. The point 2, 5 is just one little stop on an infinite horizontal road. So hoi vux is great for getting the right answer, for sure. But you know what? It's even better for not getting the wrong answer. It's like a shield against the most common mistakes people make. Let's look at a couple of the big ones. The first trap is mixing up zero slope and undefined slope. They kind of sound the same, but they are worlds apart. Just remember, hoi. Horizontal lines have a zero slope. You can walk on a flat floor, right? Its slope is zero. But VUX tells us vertical lines have an undefined slope. You can't walk up a perfectly vertical wall. It's impossible. Think about it like money. Having $0 is a real thing, but undefined money, that's like magic money that doesn't exist. One is a number, the other is an impossible concept. Okay, this next trap, this is where so many people get tripped up. The axes themselves. I mean, it just feels like the equation for the x-axis should have an x in it, doesn't it? It seems logical, but it's a trap. But Hoivux saves us again. Just think it through. The x-axis is a horizontal line, right? And what does Hoi tell us about all horizontal lines? Their equation has to be y equals a number. Well, since the x-axis is at a height of 0, its equation is y equals 0. The same logic applies to the y-axis. It's a vertical line, so Vux tells us its equation has to be x equals 0. See? Hoi-Vux keeps it all perfectly straight. So at this point, you might be thinking, all right, cool trick for my math class, but who cares in the real world? Well, it turns out these simple lines are actually fundamental building blocks for the virtual worlds we use and play in every single day. Think about any video game you've ever played. The floor your character runs on, that's just a horizontal line. It might be at y equals 0. The game's code is basically just saying, if the character's y position is less than 0, you fell in a pit. Game over. That's literally the floor is lava. And those invisible walls at the edge of the map, that's just a vertical line, like x equals 50. The code just says, hey, your character's x position, it can't be greater than 50. This means every single time you run along the ground or bump into a wall in a game, you are physically interacting with one of these lines. So understanding these simple equations isn't just for passing a test. It's like getting a little peek behind the curtain at the fundamental logic that builds our digital entertainment. These lines are everywhere, defining boundaries and setting limits, from the grid on a spreadsheet to the blueprints of a building. So the next time you see one of those weird equations, just think HOY-VUX. Because now, you have the secret weapon to understand the simple, powerful math that really does shape our world. Thanks for tuning in.